All right. Okay, well, we can call the meeting to order. We do have a quorum. We have a couple members who will be coming a little bit late. Before we begin, if we want to just stand and state the pledge of allegiance.
The flag's right there. It's right behind my guy. Yeah.
There we go.
Unfurl that.
Unfurl that thing.
Hang on, I could probably put it back in the holder.
I thought we turned that one.
Yeah, it was.
Maybe. Oh, okay.
All right. Okay. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dusty's on his way in.
Okay, before we approve the agenda, just a couple notes. We have one additional contract that was just signed and returned to us today for an associate. The board is good with that. We'll add that to the agenda. One other item, and that is the Imagine Learning Edgenuity license site. I want to pull that down to the first item in the business section so that we do review that as a separate vote as we have other expenditures like that. So do we have a motion on the agenda?
I'll move to approve the agenda.
Second.
With the noted
With the noted
changes?
changes.
Yep.
Okay. We have a motion to approve the agenda with the noted change of moving the Imagine Learning Edgenuity site license to the first business item and adding one contract, Melissa Gardewine, part-time associate. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Motion carried unanimously. Next, we have the consent agenda, minutes and invoice, and financial reports. Everyone had an opportunity to review those. Are there any questions on those?
Move to approve. I'll second.
We have a motion by Mike, seconded by Chris to approve the consent agenda. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Next on the agenda is what's going well in middle school, high school.
Hi, all.
Andrea,
Seems like low energy in here, so we're gonna get excited.
step it up.
Okay, so tonight I'm gonna talk to you a little bit about our CTSOs, or our career and technical student organizations. This description that I'm gonna start with is taken from the Iowa Department of Ed's website. So a career and technical student organization is an organization that engages in career and technical education activities as an integral part of the instructional program. CTSOs provide opportunities to develop and refine the skills that students need in their chosen occupational area. Conferences, competitions, workshops, community service, and other activities encourage leadership development and career exploration. So here at Pocahontas area, we offer 5 strands of career and technical education: agriculture, business, family consumer science, industrial tech, and health occupations. The state of Iowa has decided that each teacher in these areas is required to start and sustain a CTSO as a part of the Strengthening Career and Technical Education for the 21st Century Act, which is commonly known as the Perkins 5 Act. This becomes law for schools in the 2024 and 25 school year, which is quickly approaching. A group of our CTE teachers has shared a proposal with me outlining what this will look like and how it might be compensated. I've shared this proposal with Mr. Kramer, and administratively, we're working to determine our next steps. Mr. Kramer has asked for more specific information from each CTE area. Ultimately, these student organizations present a fantastic opportunity for our students to become involved in groups where they'll learn things like goal setting, problem solving, decision making, and communication skills. And they're going to be active participants in those kinds of events. Our CTE programming here is led by highly qualified instructors and is an integral part of what we proudly offer here at PAC. And we need to work towards a CTSO plan that will fairly compensate our valued employees while providing greater opportunities for student involvement. So some examples of things that the CTSOs might be doing, and these were provided by the teachers that got together and gave a proposal. They might have groups in middle school and in high school who are going to be active year-long and doing activities directly within our communities. Holding local chapter meetings, creating a local chapter, keeping chapter records like receipts and deposits and learning those kinds of skills. Perhaps sending state officers to state meetings, and they hope to do some student-driven service projects, maybe attend local, state, and national conferences, and perhaps want to do some fundraisers that will help cover student dues so that all kids have a chance to be participants. So I really want to thank the CTE teachers and the PAEA because they also had a role in working on a proposal. And I'd like to recommend that the board kind of wait and take some action on this in August once some more specific information has been gathered from every CTE strand that we currently offer. So.
Any questions for Andrea?
At the beginning, you were talking about what teachers are going to be required to record or do with these. Is that for the lead teacher in each program or all teachers in each program?
We have one teacher in each of those departments.
Okay, good.
Mhm.
I mean,
And so,
not-
yes, in a larger district, it would most likely be led by the leader of those
Okay.
departments. Mhm.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's ultimately a really awesome opportunity for our students. But like I said, we need to find a really equitable way to compensate our professionals for adding this to their plate because it is another thing that is required. So,
And we did ask you guys to bring that proposal to us when it came, and we appreciate the work that's being done in the background for that, to make that happen. Couple quick questions. When you said state officers involved in those groups, that would be students getting to participate in some state organization. Am I right on that?
correct.
The other question I had was about the cost to participate in doing some fundraisers. Do all 5 of those CTE categories have a separate cost to enroll your student in? And I guess the second half of that is, if we have a low-income family, meal assistance or anything like that, are they automatically qualified in some way? Is there some sort of funding support for these programs?
I'd say those are all things that have to be fleshed out. But each of the strands has its own organization. And so I assume there are differences with the organizations.
Yeah.
There's one, yes. And so, I mean, obviously, they would all have their different membership costs and, whatever's needed, so.
Can I throw some information in there? I have an FCCLA chapter at Manson, and we have various things that they can do. Maybe they fundraise and you do so much fundraising and you pay your dues that way. They don't have to necessarily pay their own way. And yes, each chapter has their own dues. FFA has their own, FCCLA has their own, HOSA has their own, FBLA have their own state and national dues that each student is expected to pay, but you have ways to work around that. Sometimes you can pay for it with Perkins funds. There's lots of ways to get around it, so our low-income students do not have to be disqualified just because of their social or economic status.
Perfect. And I appreciate you guys were already coming from it from that standpoint with the fundraisers and concepts that you were putting out there. It wasn't anything new we're adding. I just wanted to kind of understand and make sure that, the board position on that. We want to make sure any kid who wants to can.
Yep, and that information came to me from the teachers of these areas, so just want to make that clear. They're very much wanting to involve all kids, so.
Appreciate that very much. Any other questions? Thank you, Andrea.
Thank you.
Thanks, Andrew.
Thank you.
Tracy, for elementary.
Good evening. I wanted to take a minute and share that the elementary is busy with cleaning right now. The custodians are in, working their magic to get everything shiny and looking great. And we also have students in the building right now as well. They're working on their play that they're going to present this Friday at the Rialto at 7 p.m. The play is called The Claw. Right now they have 39 campers in 2nd through 6th grade and 12 high school counselors helping put this together. We also have online registration will begin August 1st. And then we also have an opportunity at the elementary that you can come in person if you'd like to get some questions answered. We'll have nursing services, transportation, our food program at the elementary, those types of things that parents can come in and get information on. At the high school level, on August 5th, starting then, you can come into the office and get help if you need, but it will be in person in our elementary gym at the elementary. We thought that would be helpful to some families.
Did you have a date on that?
August 5th is our in-person,
Okay,
and August 1st is the
online
online.
stores.
We also had summer school wrap up since we last met, and that was a fantastic program. Kids really seemed to enjoy it. When we put information out, we had 30 families say that they would come to it. It ended up being 26. There were 4 of them had other commitments, things came up. And so out of the 26, we had, we had 21 to 25 students each day. So we figured that was very successful.
Out of the 26, how many got their credit? Or do they get credit for that time
No.
period?
Well, they're just
That's
working on the
common.
skills that they're behind on and just trying
So we catch up for next year.
to keep the summer slide from happening. So we did that. So our attendance was really good and the kids really seemed to enjoy it. And then finally, just as an information piece, our 3-year-old preschool, the scholarship applications for that will be coming out soon. And families can also go on the Linking Families website and apply for a scholarship there as well. If you have a child attending 3-year-old preschool, when you chose your AM or PM section, we honored whatever the parent preferred. So to those families out there that are wondering, if you put AM, that's where your child will be. So basically, we're really lucky with that. We can't wait to get that off the ground and running, and we think it should be a great thing for our young people.
What was the website they could go to for
Um,
3-year-old preschool? And I thought you said it's also included maybe financial.
Yes, Linking
assistance?
Families.
Linking Families.
Yep.
Not really a question, but just to highlight it, going back to what you said, it was 7 PM at the Rialto on Friday for the,
The clock, yep. A lot going on.
Like the claw.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we didn't have anybody sign up for public communication today, so we can move right into the first business item, which would be the Imagine Learning Edgenuity Site License, which is on page, right after our financials, there it is, page 17. Regular annual contract, this is just the renewal of what we have been doing.
We've been doing this for a number of years. It's had different names. So it was Odyssey Ware for years and years. And then the company was bought out and Ingenuity now owns that program. And we are still participating and we had transitioned over to the Ingenuity side of the product as they've kind of merged the two together. So we use this at the alternative school, Regional Learning Center, as well as at the high school, middle school for credit recovery.
I'll move to approve.
I'll second that.
We have a motion by Chris, seconded by Mike to approve the Imagine Learning Edgenuity contract for $25,356.65. All in favor, please say aye. Motion carried unanimous. Okay, next business item is the update to the Rialto contract. This starts on page 18. The main thing with the Rialto update was it was around the additional time that we were asking for. They're basically charging us the same rate for any period of time, but now we're asking for more time. So it is a higher cost investment. And that is what has taken the amount up a little bit. And so they're offering us a discounted amount of $11,000, where I just want to follow this through. We previously paid $8,000, yep. And if we just carried it through it, multiplying the hours of usage out, that would take that 8 to 14. And in order to support the school, they're offering us a discount and saying, hey, we'll do it at 11, which really means they're dropping their hourly rate for us using it more. But we will pay slightly more, $3,000 more for that service, but basically getting almost double the amount of usage.
I move to approve.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion by Cherie, seconded by Dustin, to approve the Rialto Theater contract, I think it's lease agreement, Rialto Theater lease agreement. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried unanimous. Okay, next item is the discuss and approve registration fees, which you'll find on page 25. Any changes to highlight or things to point out, Joe?
No, it's the same numbers as last year.
Even our meal prices, we were able to hold the same as last year. Which is everybody knows at the grocery store, it's a stretch. So
I move to approve.
we have a second.
I'll second it.
So we have a motion by Sheree, seconded by Mike to approve the 24-25 registration fees. All in favor, please say aye. Motion carries unanimous. Okay, next item is the discussion of, discuss approve a storage container for equipment. And the note on this is on page 26. This would be a shipping container, 40-foot high, double door, 40-foot long, excuse me, double door type. Yeah, it would be a big one. And these are basically refabbed to be a storage unit and is much lower cost than building a unit. I did see they put two different prices on here with a 40-foot and a 20-foot. Is there a recommendation?
They're recommending going for the 40 so that there's adequate storage at that location for equipment and not be crunched for space. This provides storage that has some rodent protection, which wood storage does not provide.
And where is the storage going and what is it going, what's going in?
Well, sports equipment, this will be mowers, this will be
Out at the,
out of the complex. So anything basically that is susceptible to rodent damage, which we've had over the years.
Is this a purchase or a rental
This is a purchase.
purchase?
and we don't have adequate space at the bus barn currently.
Not that's gonna give you rodent
Proof.
protection.
Is it like watertight for rain and?
So the recommendation would be for the 40-foot high cube, one trip, double door, $59.75 plus $1,000 site rent. Correct?
I'll move to approve.
We have a second.
I'll second it.
We have a motion by Chris, seconded by Mike to approve the storage unit and site prep. Storage unit $59.75, site prep $1,000. All in favor, please say aye. It was unanimous. Okay, motion carried unanimous. Okay. Next item then is the disposal of obsolete equipment. And I believe it's just the item on page 26.
That's the big item, and we have some miscellaneous items, and I wasn't gonna list everything. So we've got some items that in our family consumer science room that are extra, I guess is, for lack of a better word. Some of it needs to be just eliminated due to wear. Others, we will either place to auction or do some type of an internal auction is what we're proposing to the kids, in the event that someone could find a home for them.
Are these like ovens, ranges, what?
No, we're talking smaller.
Like a spatula, a whisk.
There's like old bowls that have been in there. There's a lot of extra, like the cake pans or cookie sheets and stuff like that. There was some stuff that got replaced with like Perkins order. I cannot remember because it's been since April that I went through it, but there were, yeah.
It's phenomenal things.
Yeah, that size of item, yeah.
Have we picked up the items that Lorenz donated to us for FCS?
Yes.
And just, like, if anything from that group was in this list, I mean, should we consider
Yeah, there's nothing in here that was
No.
brought
that was
over
brought from that?
from
Okay, just
Lorenz.
making sure we didn't
Yep.
take something they gave to us and then
Nope.
sold it. If we did, we'd talk to them.
Nope.
Okay, so. Yes, we'd give that portion back, is where I was going with that, so, okay. Any questions about the MC Lawn Genie, putting that up on auction, or the FCS supplies?
What is a lawn genie?
I'll pick up leaves and
Just to pick up grass clippings.
Okay, just curious.
wasn't sure either. I was guessing.
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Chris, seconded by Cherie, to approve the selling of obsolete equipment at auction. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Motion carries. All right. Next item of discussion is it's the handbook. So we're moving into review of the handbook changes for employees, elementary teacher, elementary student, and parent, RLC, and high school student handbooks.
And we may be bringing these back to you down the road. We anticipate there may be some language recommendations that will come out either through ISB or the state with regard to specialty attendance, truancy, and chronic absenteeism. So, but we need to get the rest of this information out, and we've got some language kind of dropped in to bring to the attention that there are going to be some changes here. But don't be shocked if we bring it back with more specific language that is being recommended in this area. I also anticipate next month we will have some board policy associated with this as well, and we'll just marry those two together at that time.
So is that this document that we're talking about right now?
Yes.
It is, okay.
I have a couple of questions. Of course I do. In the, what was the one, the RLC one, the dates, the times aren't correct,
Yep, and I've already made a note for that. Yep.
Then on page 7 of the, high school handbook, there's something that says fix this in yellow, but I don't know.
It's the staff directory,
Oh, okay.
Okay,
so I just have to update that and drop
Yeah, I
it.
was like, what is this?
Yep, good
And
question.
then under the excused absences, which do not count towards the 10-day limitation, there are some that have been removed.
we do want to talk about that, but the question that we had first is, those are all legislative changes, right? This has nothing to do with us, and this came up at one of our prior meetings or through negotiations, et cetera, but if you wouldn't mind highlighting for us, basically the state's changed the guidance on what it means to be absent and taken away some things that used to be excused absences and how they're measuring overall. But I'm starting to misstate things if I go anywhere beyond that, and I'll let you guys explain it in more detail.
Do you want me to?
You go for it.
Okay. Part of this is we are waiting for some further breakdown from the state. Bottom line here is, in the past, school districts have had flexibility to determine what things are going to be excused. That could be a family vacation, could be any number of things. Those items now basically are going to be unexcused absences, or count at least as an absence. All right? So your excused absences, as I understand it, are going to be if you're dealing with, whether it's a dentist or doctor type of situation, or if it's a school-related activity. Those would fall under the quote excused. But basically the state just says, if you're gone, you're gone. And under their chronic truancy side of the equation, if you're gone 10% of the school days, and it's as the course of the year goes through. So this gets a little bit stickier if someone comes down with influenza in November, because we're not that far into the school year and you may miss 2 weeks of school potentially. Or it certainly is a possibility of that happening. Internally, we can look at some of that in terms of what gets turned over for truancy, which is through the county attorney's office. So you've got two different things that we're talking about here. But they have to marry up someplace, because obviously if you're not here, it is going to impact on that truancy side. And that's the part that we're still wanting some time basically to sort out. We just know there's gonna be changes, and for some, it's going to be significant, because we do have families that choose to take vacations during the school year. But that absence is going to count toward.
You'll be unexcused.
Right, but some of these are, so taken off was bereavement. If your parent dies, then that's not considered excused.
I mean, we're being told that we can't just say they're excused. We obviously will look at every case individually as
One of them is
necessary.
you have a doctor's signed statement saying you're sick. That's crossed off. I thought that was one of the covered ones.
That's where we're waiting to get some additional
Yeah, we're not
information.
sure.
If school says that you're suspended, then you get double whammy because you can't be here for your education and you're truant. That one's crossed
If
off.
it's an out of school, I would say that's probably a yes, because
You're
you are not
absolutely-
physically in school.
And then the other one is religious stuff.
And the religious, if it's church related, for one of the two, from what I'm hearing from colleagues, is that won't be counted against you. But we need some time to dig into this. I mean,
That's just really concerning that like,
Yeah.
some of these are big things, like you're being punished for religious observations, parent, like,
the biggest thing for us is to communicate to the communities that this is a change being put upon us.
It's a state
This isn't-
legislative change, not a.
Your
PAC
staff
decision.
members looking at this and wanting to create something new on their own, right? This is dictated down, which is part of the reason why we need some time for some of these people to work out differences of opinion, because some people are reading this slightly differently in terms of intent, and I
If it's a
won't be
handbook-
surprised if it gets changed.
so our handbook, I'm uncomfortable taking these out of the handbook until those processes are made. Because I think some of these things are valid and important. We're gonna keep 2 college visits, but not if your parent, it's not equating for me. I am opposed to taking those lines that are crossed out until the dust settles, until we figure out we can readjust it later, I guess. That would be my.
Once the state legislative decision's made, and the gist of it kind of boiled down to one sentence you said, then what I'd heard before, read also, was if you're not in school for whatever reason,
Yeah.
they're basically gonna count you absent.
Yep.
And that, in the end, and to your point, we do value those things, and we're not just going to ignore them, yet if the state says this is the rules, then we will pull that into the handbook, and that'll be the rule. And we'll communicate it to our parents, but, so everybody who's watching online knows that, no, we as a district are not saying we no longer want to allow you to be absent because of bereavement. Obviously, we want you to go be with your family and heal, but the state law may say that you're absent from school during that time, no matter how we look at it.
Yep.
We'll wait for that to unfold and bring that back to the board before we approve those changes.
Then why is anything in the handbook at all?
So this attendance part is a draft,
Okay.
and that's why Mr. Kramer said we're gonna bring the attendance part back to you in
Okay.
August with more clarifications.
Well, and
So,
I'm totally with Sarah. I called Tony on it earlier. I'm totally with Sarah. But the other thing is that this rule change like really wreaks havoc with this whole document because there's excused and unexcused terminology throughout a lot of it. It's gonna be a nightmare to edit and align. Because even further in, I see excused and unexcused when I was reading through it, I was like, ooh.
We can certainly table you taking any action tonight on this. My concern, however, is we do need to communicate some of these changes that we believe are coming.
Yeah.
So families are not scheduling things, not knowing
Yeah,
that there's
schedule-
potential for change coming here.
Yes, and there's a difference between scheduled and then I think some of these other things. And maybe we need to be more generic in the language between scheduling things or, I don't know. Maybe there's gotta be a better way to come up with language, I guess is my point.
But I would encourage you just table these decisions.
Yeah.
You just won't have a handbook until your next board meeting. It won't be till after registration. It's gonna be,
The only purpose for the things that are crossed out in there is for us to know that we need to go back and fix it to whatever it is going to be in the future. So, I think keep that in mind. That's what we were trying to do, is highlight the things that are changing for you so that you can see it. So we were hoping you would approve the rest of the handbook and then we can come back and get the attendance done when it was put in play. But it is going to change drastically, so.
And I would like to have a handbook at registration, even if it has some things that we know.
I'm
maybe-
okay, I'm okay passing it with the exception that we come back for attendance. I'm just afraid if we take them out and something changes later, because we're not gonna be the only district that has problems, and it's hard to get it back in once it's gone.
The handbook will be approved depending on it being amended at the next meeting or whatever, next.
That sounds like a motion.
That sounds like a motion.
But also, I think that, the other thing is that it kind of has and I know you're saying it's coming down from the state, I understand that, but it has the feeling of the school overrules the parents. And I don't like that feeling either, because I can take my child out anytime I want. And that comes,
and this isn't saying they can't be taken out, so I want to
Yeah.
clarify that there's not a
Yeah, I understand.
misinterpretation. It won't necessarily be excused. Historically, in the past, we've
Well-
allowed parents some input into what's excused. Under the new changes coming, that may disappear.
I understand what you're saying, but I stand as a parent and as a school board member saying, I overrule the school on times when my kid will not be in the building.
Parents will still have the option to do what they want to and need to with their kids.
Right.
We just have to account for it the way the state says this is the way that's tallied. You took your kid on vacation, this is what has to happen as far as their attendance.
Your chronic truancy is going to be a part of the school report card moving forward. So that's where this
And
intermixes.
I understand that, I'm just stating that I overrule the school, so I'm just saying.
Right.
So,
And we all have, when you see that bereavement leave is no longer
Yeah.
excused, that just strikes you as what?
right, well,
You
yeah,
can't go grieve
several
with your
things.
family? That doesn't make sense. But
Yeah,
it's just how the state is scoring it.
yeah, I hear you, I understand our hands are tied, I still can state my
Yep, absolutely.
disagreement.
Other changes as we're going through the document, the changes were highlighted.
Page 16, I would like to draw your attention to the open campus. I propose that we begin open campus on October 1, rather than waiting till the Monday after Thanksgiving.
Hang on, we got these attachments in different, so page 16 of which handbook?
The
This
student
one.
handbook that
Middle
was.
school, high school
The high school.
handbook.
Middle school, high school.
I like that language better.
So we start on October 1st with our most stringent open campus qualifications. And then the second note there, open campus beginning potentially the Monday after Thanksgiving. Making sure those kids are on track to graduate, passing all their classes, no more than 2 office referrals per semester. Then the third qualification window would be the beginning of second semester, where they have 90%. I mean, you can read all of that there, but.
I like it. I think that, when we have buildings full of practicing adults, they will make mistakes. And this gives them multiple opportunities to get back on track and still get access to those privileges. We want them to learn and grow from their mistakes as human beings. And not be held to that years, you know what I mean, for something they did when they were freshmen. Or who knows. Just reasonable. Good job.
So we'd be starting it, rather than the Monday after Thanksgiving, we'd start at October 1. That's my proposal.
And sometimes when you have something else to lose, you toe the line a little better.
Or a goal to work towards,
Mhm.
all during high school.
So how was that said, we'll move to approve this
We'll
understand.
move to approve it barring changes from the state. We should find that out by the next meeting.
Or approve everything but attendance.
I'd like to approve everything but attendance, so we can talk about attendance at the next meeting.
So moved. I'll second it.
All right. We have a motion by Chris, seconded by Mike, to approve the handbook updates, acknowledging that as the state makes changes, that will come back to us in August, in particular on the absentee schedule. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Did I hear you, Sarah?
Aye.
Okay, it was you. Okay. All right, so next item up for discussion then is purchase of a used bus, which you'll find on page 27, I believe.
And Robbie has some information, a recommendation to present to you since Jeff is currently at a convention for transportation directors.
Okay,
And Robbie is driving a bus very similar to what these recommendations are for you tonight.
So, good evening, directors and President, also Mr. Craven. Jeff Halder sends his apologies for not being here tonight because of this very important conference that he's at in Des Moines. He has asked that I be here to represent him and the Transportation Department. And the reason is that we are asking you to consider and approve the purchase of 2 newer buses. They're not brand new, but they would be new to us, and they're low mileage. He is recommending the purchase of 2 2018 Thomas-made buses. The proposal of these buses is included in the packet that was sent out to you last Friday. These buses are very similar to the propane bus, again, that Mr. Kramer said that I am driving. And our district purchased that bus earlier this year. We would like to recommend that the board purchase both of these buses, and the sale price is $45,212 per bus. And this will include both buses being inspected and ready to be put immediately into service. These buses each have less than 40,000 miles on them because they are just coming out of a lease from another school district. The plan is to put these buses into our fleet as route buses. We would then move the current route buses and make them trip buses. Using propane buses on our routes as opposed to a diesel bus does save the school district a significant amount of money in fuel. Jeff is in the process of updating our fleet, and he hopes that he can start to order new buses at some point in the future. But if we were to order a new bus today, all we've been told by our manufacturers is that it would take over a year to receive any new buses. The Transportation Department is looking into disposing a couple of higher mileage buses because, of course, they're costly in repairs and also to run. So if you approve the purchase tonight, Wayne, who is our district mechanic, and Jeff, our transportation director, would inspect these buses more thoroughly before the purchase would be complete. So thank you so much for your time and consideration of this, and I might be able to answer some questions if you have any. I can tell you about the bus because I'm the driver of the one we recently bought, which is similar to.
How is driving propane different from driving diesel?
It's not really that different as far as driving it. Fueling it is different. We have the fuel station right at the bus garage. So the fuel is delivered there. It's at a lower cost. We're not honestly going over to the co-op and paying for fuel somewhere else. The diesel is more expensive. But propane would be nice in our route buses because they're a little bit smaller tank, most of them. And because they run the route and then we're back here, everybody comes back to this area, it's easy for all the drivers to fuel right here. However, when we go somewhere else, we wouldn't have access to propane. So we do have large buses that are in very good shape that we can use as trip buses that are our diesels. And we would use those so that if a driver, say, like I always take the girls for a drill team down to Des Moines every year, I need to fuel when I'm down there. So we would have a diesel bus that we could fuel there.
I really like the Thomas bus. I've been a school bus driver for 30 years. And I've driven Thomases in Fort Dodge. I drove Thomas when I drove in Tennessee, and I've driven here. I really like it. The visibility on these buses is terrific. A lot of buses, they have smaller windows down the side. There's a lot of things that are blocking your vision. These Thomas buses have large windows that go all the way to the top. The visibility is so much better. And I just think that's a huge safety issue. I like that they have air conditioning for the driver. So like on days like today, it's sweltering, it's horrible. And, keeping your driver comfortable is kind of nice. They're also very nice. I don't know, just the quality of the parts on the bus is nice. I like the Thomas really well. They're a smooth driving bus, and Jeff seems to like them very much. So that's what I can tell you about driving it myself. The kids love this bus, love it. So, but we do have to have certifications of drivers to use the propane, which many or most of our drivers are certified. It's a simple class. We get a certificate that says you can use the propane.
Your biggest change is probably in the wintertime. So your propane buses don't have the same issues with low temp. Because your diesel buses, DEF in particular, doesn't like low temps. And if it gets cold enough, even straight diesel can cause issues without additive in this area. So with the propane, there's gonna start and you've got heat moving.
Are both buses 38,000 miles and the price is the same for both?
Yes, they've come off a lease from some of the school district. They're very close in mileage. There's not much difference at all. They're both under 40,000. One's like 38,000, one's 39,000 something. Same school district. The one that I am running right now has about 6,000 miles on it. We got it with like 3,000 miles, so.
You have any idea what the mileage is on the two higher mileage buses we'd be replacing? Just trying to get an idea how far we are away from where we're buying it now to sort of the expected life.
Well, I was driving 21, 22, some of the much older snub nose buses, which would be on our kind of get rid of list. And they are 180, 190,000 miles. And it's not just that, it's getting parts and it's having doors that just swing open in the middle of winter time because they're frozen and the motor's not working.
I'm not advocating
No.
for the old buses. I'm just trying to, this one we buy it at 38,000, would we still be driving it at 138? Would we still be?
Most likely, yes. And possibly longer, again, because the propane,
60, 170.
And the cost is 42?
45,000.
And I can't remember, wasn't it
No, 220.
the bus that we got earlier in the year, wasn't that about 89,000, something like that? I remember for sure.
I don't remember the price.
She was right, I think.
It does sound like,
89.
I think that's right, and then a new one was
Yeah, like
115, 120,
yeah.
it was, yeah.
I'm just saying, they're 42, now you get two of them for about, I'm not saying they don't have miles on
I drive
them,
15,000. That's big enough.
but that's,
Yes.
I have him on the phone. Do you want to talk to him?
Oh,
He's been watching the whole time.
I'll move to approve the purchase of the two Thomas buses at $42,212
That's a no.
per bus.
I'll second it.
We have a motion by Dustin.
45,212
It's the
45.
the inspected price is the one.
is the one down below.
Okay, 45,212 per bus with the inspection.
I'll second it, yeah.
We have a motion by Dustin, seconded by Sarah, to approve two buses at $45,212 each, including the chassis inspection and pre-use inspections required.
Thank you.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried unanimously. Okay. Not to do with the vote, just a question to follow up. Did those cameras, a couple of the older buses don't have the camera system on them, right?
We will be working on getting pricing. These will require a camera system so that we can continue. Right now, we don't have camera systems on all of our activity buses. We have them on all the others. So by shifting 2 routes over to activity that will now allow us to have some activity buses that will have cameras, but these 2 will require a
Right.
system. And there may be a third in there just to try to get to 100% of our
I
buses.
knew we had to build out the rest of the fleet in that, so.
And so then there's 2 older buses that we'd probably be getting rid of.
Yeah, she mentioned that 2 of the older higher mileage buses, they'll come back if they go through them and bring them back to us and say, these are the 2 we wanna auction or sell.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay, next was the discuss approve activity calendar formats.
Thank you, Bobby.
Oh, you're welcome.
Page 28.
So is this the new bound?
This is printed out of bound, yes. Very good question.
So everything that we have will be bound. Nothing else, no activity.
Will it still be on the Google Calendar on the page, the webpage?
Everything will be bound. We'll have that linked through that website, but everything will be entered through bound so that it automatically updates. Right now, we've been trying to operate with multiple calendars, so if there is a scheduling change or something happens, we don't have accurate information going out. And we have had complaints over the years because people become frustrated thinking that everything should be locked in by June or July for the entire school year. And that's just not realistic in terms of being able to have an accurate calendar.
But I'll still be able to go to the PAC website and like see the calendar and it'll just pull over from bound then?
Ideally, yes.
Okay.
Mr. Borba's working on that.
Okay. I don't know anything about technology and I'm probably one of the tech people that ends up in the wrong place because I don't know which app we're in, so.
The app doesn't give you a calendar look. It shows up as a list view. If, however, you bookmark the actual website, which we've already pushed out as an example on Facebook, if you click that link, that actually takes you to a calendar look that looks like a calendar, and this would be an example of it printed.
That's nice.
We've had people ask different board members about printed calendars and being available. And that option is a good way to provide that, and it's flexible that if things schedule throughout the year, when you print this month's calendar, you're gonna have this month's calendar. What we've done on Facebook, would it be possible just to put a little tutorial out there that says, go here, this is how you get to the website version. If you're one of the people who'd like to see this printed in a monthly calendar format, can we put a little how-to on Facebook?
We'll work on seeing if we can get something. It may take us a little bit more time to do, but
Yep, just with
Limited
screenshots. just
staff.
something- Perfect.
In all the activities are on here, vocal, band.
Not
elementary.
yet, but
They
that is
will.
They
the
will be,
process,
all on.
absolutely. The elementary concerts.
All that stuff.
She's done. I'm not done.
So if there's 12 months, do we fill it out 12 months ahead of time? Or are we doing it a couple months at a time to where if we had 12 months filled out, we can print it out and we have a copy for people to have at
We could.
registration?
And that's kind of what this is designed to be an example of, exactly what you're
Sure.
saying, Dustin, where we
Just-
just print this
Yep.
page as a paper copy.
Sure.
It's just
And then it's
going to be
available.
accurate at the time of
You
print.
bet. Yeah. Okay.
Well, it's just nice to know which app to go to because it's when something changes that becomes a problem for me. I'm like, oh, where am I going? I don't know where that town is. And I'm gonna, so it's nice to be able to, I'm going to this app and that's it, yeah.
And to answer your question, Dustin, like, I have put everything for the year on there already. So it's not per
Good.
month or, it's, what I know of right now is on there, for the entire year.
So this bound is our aptitude.
Not yet. This is our calendar.
This is just a calendar. So aptitude is, of course, something else where it has other things on it. So we'll have bound and then aptitude,
Maybe. We still have,
or
That will come
whatever
back.
one we choose.
yep, we'll finish strategic planning and then we'll return to that. We wanted to return to that vote after we had laid out the strategic plan to see where it fit financially.
I just want to make sure we're not paying for something and then paying for something else that is the exact same thing. It's, we got two things rolling.
It's a good question. I think Apogee, if I'm remembering right, provided some additional communications, more than just the activity side of things, where Bound is focused on activities. So whether it's an elementary activity or a middle school activity or a high school activity, I mean, you literally can get on and choose your sport and get a printout of the dates and locations for that season. You can go on through Bound at one location and see where the gym availability is. The intent here is to make it more easily accessible in one location instead of going to a Google Calendar for this, website for this, paper copy for this.
And there's different apps that some of the coaches have used and things that, then it just gets, yeah.
It's gonna help your AD because he has to run everything through Bound. The state requires it for athletics, so it will help him immensely if he's able to use it in one area.
Will Apogee or other things play with this or interact with this?
I can't answer that one yet.
So like RST will disappear.
Yes.
That'll be gone. Okay. Just so people are aware.
In fact, I would switch over to Bound now, probably would be my recommendation for people. Because all the new changes are going into Bound and not into the old program. Last year, we tried to end the year trying to do both, but that is logistically time consuming.
Oh, for sure.
Nightmare.
Yeah.
So really, there's no action necessary. If you're okay with, we take what we can print out of Bound, we can create a calendar that can be available for those who wish to have one. I mean, but individuals can print their own too. It's gonna look different than what we've had in the past.
We will return to the
Will we
discussion.
still have the school calendar at registration?
That's what this will replace.
No more red calendar to stick in your refrigerator. Print this off once a month and put it up there if you want.
And that will have the, teacher PD
It
days,
has
like all.
everything, family weeks in there, first day of registration, all those different things that would normally be on the red calendar are there.
But they're gonna work on a 12-month
Mhm.
to hand out at registration if someone wants that.
You're gonna run into the same thing that you run into with the red calendar right now. It will be out of date.
Yep, I'm
Like,
sure
there
it
will
will.
be changes if you print all 12 months. at once.
But if you have 99% of
Yeah.
everything correct.
People just need to know that. 'Cause
Yeah.
you'll have, having been an athletic director before, you'll have a school call and say, we can't play JV tonight, or we have to move to a different gym or whatever, and that's gonna change. So they're gonna have to use the online content to get the most up-to-date information.
And if they register for the Bound, it sends, I know I get
Yeah,
notifications
you'll get
if there's a
email.
change, so
That's good.
as soon as it happens, as soon as they enter it in, you get an email telling you there's been a change. Which for our parents and grandparents and people who are traveling, I think there's a lot of value to that, so.
In the next month or so, when we return to the Apogee discussion, we will ask them
Okay.
if this calendar integrates. Any other questions about our activity calendar format?
Okay.
All right, so next would be the discuss Pomeroy facility progress and RFP update, abatement timeline. Couple things just to follow up from the last meeting on that topic. When we had met before, there were two requests from Pomeroy for us to investigate with a caveat, basically. The first one was whether or not we could do a partial demolition of the building and then put up a wall and be able to make it more sellable. First of all, thank you to Mr. Kramer and Mayor Lutz and working with our attorneys on both sides to run these questions down and work out the specific details. That in particular is possible. However, if PAC did that, we would have to publicly list it for sale again. We can't make that improvement to sell it to Pomeroy. We'd have to make that improvement and put it up for sale to the best offer that we got if we chose to go down that route. Knowing that that would potentially delay things, as well as, if Pomeroy wasn't committed to something on that front, there wouldn't be any reason for us to do a partial demolition and incur additional costs there. So basically, the conversation with Mayor Lutz today and what we would be presenting tonight was, that's a possibility. They're gonna investigate on their end if they wanna make a proposal on that. That would look, they're gonna have a meeting on Wednesday night. They'll get back to us on what that would look like. But those things would have to be determined to either stay on our abatement timeline or have a path that we know we're on a different route with that. The next thing was they had a request proposal to see if we could put the demolition funds that are currently set aside for that into a trust fund that would allow them a couple of years to work with a developer, and then if it came back to PAC, they would pay any additional costs beyond what that trust fund had accumulated. In reviewing that with our attorney in the cities, there is no legal mechanism for the school to do that. So that one's off the table, okay? Joe, I was just looking for the timeline. What page is that on?
50.
Okay. So as far as our timeline, and this goes back a little further, and it's just, again, to help everybody understand where we have been on this timeline. It was June 30th of last year that we had a motion to keep the building open for 3 months to allow for the city of Pomeroy to take any action, and that we weren't going to enter another propane contract. We met with the city again in July after that, started discussions around RFP, voted again in the fall to extend that and to heat it last year. We had formal RFPs, went out earlier in the year. We had a March deadline on that we've extended several times and been trying to allow the city to find the best options that they could. We extended that again in June, and we were looking at tonight to kind of make sure that we all understand and set the deadline for a proposal and gift agreement to be negotiated. And working backwards from our mid-October abatement date, and that date is so that we don't hit freezing, and we're not damaging the gym floor if that is going to try to be safe. So we had to pick a date that would be done before that if we were going to do it. That means that September 1st to the 14th is when the inspection and lab report would have to start. Our board meeting prior to that is the 19th. This would require a publication in the paper prior to doing that on the 19th. So that would have to be by August 7th.
Or July 31st.
Yeah.
And I would recommend the 31st, so that if something happened and there was an error in publication, you have another
Have an
chance
opportunity to, yes.
to fix it.
And so basically after, July 24th, deadline for a proposal from Pomeroy, which would allow us a week to negotiate the terms and then do any public posting. So at this point, we've communicated that with Mayor Lotz, and she will be, they're having a city council meeting on Wednesday. They'll review the options before them and come back to us if they want to pursue anything further on that option 1 avenue of partial demolition. Until then, we won't take any action. If they come back to a proposal, we'll look at that, and I will set a special board meeting with you guys so that we can do that and stay on this timeline. So that's generally the offer that we've left with Pomeroy is, hey, if you guys come back and need us to hold a special board meeting, we will. And we'll do that to hold those timelines. So outside of that, nothing else has changed yet. There are some things they're evaluating on the city's end, and they'll get back to us by the end of the week. So any questions on the Pomeroy update and abatement schedule?
I guess I'd like to meet as a facility committee, because we've never even discussed any of this at all as a facility. It's always just been in a school board meeting. So maybe we need to talk and see if there's anything that we think is valuable to the district that we might want to use, or any of that too.
Could you guys get together in that same time frame if we're asking Pomeroy to have anything back to us by the 24th? Could this facility meeting meet before then? I think so.
Yeah, Wednesday day works for me. Not so much this week, that week, next week. any day next week.
Any day next week.
Yeah.
We'll let you guys get together and
Okay,
schedule that.
we'll schedule something.
Okay, next item on the agenda, was to set a hearing date potentially for Pomeroy. They weren't ready for that yet, so we'll move on. Yep. Okay, so next is the discuss approve coaching advisory committee expectations and membership. Couple things that I wanted to highlight there. First was just to provide clarity for all involved as to what we had voted on, and we're asking the Public Advisory Committee to the AD to, what was their role and purpose? And I wanted to make sure that we clearly stated that again so everybody understood it, and then also wanted to bring the board up to date on where we stand with membership and some changes that we've had on that committee. So first, what I'm gonna read here is the agreement that we have anybody on that committee sign, which starts with their purpose statement and then defines some of the rules of ethics that they would follow, the same as we have our board member ethics or anyone else on staff does. So athletics program advisory committee agreement entered into between that person and PAC community, or between the district and PAC community advisory committee. Acknowledgement of participation. The purpose of this committee is to advise the athletic director and administration in considering of coaching applications. The purpose of that advising committee is to give stakeholders a voice in the selection of head coaches and sponsors to assist the athletic program in increasing student engagement and community support for all PAC extracurricular programs. By signing this agreement, the committee member acknowledges and agrees to the following terms and conditions. Confidentiality. Committee member agrees to maintain strict confidentiality regarding all matters discussed or disclosed during the interview process. This includes refraining from discussing ongoing interviews, questions asked, or information shared with individuals outside of their advisory committee. Documentation and confidentiality. The committee members understands that notes may be taken during the interview process and submitted to the administration at the end of each interview. Any personal notes taken during the interview are the property of the district and may not be removed from the interview. This is for legal protection for the school district. In conducting our interviews, we have to follow all occupational and employment standards and guidelines, and we're allowing the administration to help us do that with this committee. There's a non-disclosure requirement. The committee member agrees not to disclose any confidential information obtained during the interview process. Commitment fairness. The committee member agrees to participate in the interview process in a fair and honest manner, working transparently with all members of the committee and responding to questions openly and honestly. Respectful conduct. Committee member agrees to conduct themselves in a professional and respectful manner during the interactions with members of the committee, school administration, coaches, other applicants, both during and following the interview process. Compliance with policies. The committee member acknowledges their understanding and agreement to comply with all applicable policies, procedures, and guidelines set forth by the committee and the athletics program. Non-discrimination. Committee agrees not to discriminate against any individual on the basis of race, color, religion, gender, national origin, age, disability, or any other protected characteristic during the interview process. Conflict of interest. Committee members agree not to participate in any interview where there is a real or perceived conflict of interest. Right to withdraw. The committee member acknowledges their right to withdraw from the interview process at any time without prejudice by providing written notice to the administration. And the last item is support the district's programs and activities. Committee members agree to support this process and all programs and activities offered by the district. Committee members should help to communicate how this process has incorporated the voice of the stakeholders and work to engage those stakeholders in ongoing support. Circling back to that purpose statement, it's about helping us understand the voice of the stakeholders so we can drive student engagement and community support in our extracurriculars.
With the right to withdraw, is that for one instance, or is that always, or what?
They have the right to withdraw from the committee as a whole, is what that's written as. Conflict of interest to remove from individual interviews. We have had one person withdraw, and Amy Anderson has had to step down for some personal conflicts. With her permission, it's has nothing to do with this process. It has to do with some health issues in her family that she needs to take care We have another committee member who is moving away and won't be able to serve the full term. So with that, soon, we're down to 4 out of 5, and soon we'll be down to 3 out of 5. So we're gonna need to reopen this for applications, which is also the main reason I wanted to restate the purpose. There were some questions that came out of that afterwards. This is what we're looking for. We're looking for people who help us bring the voice of the communities to drive student engagement and community support in the choices that we make in that process, and to provide that feedback to the administration team as they're making that selection and recommendation to the board. So there's really no voting activity for this, just more of an acknowledgement of where we stand and asking the administration to reopen applications, because we're going to have to replace one and soon two.
Will be the same application process, so people go fill out the application, is it online, is it on Facebook, and then return it to the secretary before our next board meeting, or?
Tonight's the first time we're hearing about the reopening, so my assumption would be yes to that process, but we'd have to get those things back into place before that could occur.
By the next board meeting, is that what you're saying? That'd be wrong. Yeah, that'd be a long, yeah.
Probably some posting on Facebook, make people aware that we're reopening that application. Okay, any questions or concerns with where we're at with the coaching advisory committee? Okay, next is newly proposed financial reports and processes. Karen has done some research with other school districts and helping us identify some different ways that our financial reports can come to us that help us better understand which categories they fit in, and some other insights that she garnered from other districts and recommended to us. And with that, Karen, I'll turn it over to you to share the research you have.
First of all, I'm gonna stand back here because I can't handle speaking in front of someone with people behind me. So
Sure.
I'm gonna
We can
stand
hear
back
you.
here.
We can hear you.
I just want to say good evening. Thank you to the president, vice president, and members of the board, Superintendent Kramer also. June 25th, Samantha Reagan, who is a central office's administrative assistant, Superintendent Kramer and myself, met with Sarah Boyson and Shree Johnson regarding financial reports and kind of how some of the procedures are done. After about an hour or two of discussion, we came to a couple of recommendations that I kind of want to bring to the board tonight. Regarding the financial reports, kind of want to be a little bit more in depth, but not too in depth, but to a point. Page 34, if you look in your packet, there are two separate examples of financial reports that I got from two different school districts, both within the area. As you can tell, both of them are somewhat similar, yet they do each have a little bit of a difference between the two. Sarah and Sheree kindly recommended that they would like to see these, what I currently use as financial reports, kind of do away with two of them and kind of combine it into one, which is kind of what you're looking at pages 34. I talked to both school districts. They're willing to help me set stuff up. It's pretty easy. It's like a Google Doc. All the information that's on there comes straight from Software Limited, which is our software company that we use for the school district. So it will be a little bit more in-depth as far as where the revenues come from. Payroll is now going to be listed on there as well, as long as the benefits that are paid out monthly. Sheree would like to see the invoice side of things stay, that particular report, stay in the packet for you guys. So we'll kind of go with that discussion first, and then I'll make my second recommendation if that's all right.
So, help explain the proposal again.
Basically, what you see at the front of your packet, when you guys, do the consent agenda items, one of the two, there's two reports that are with the minutes and invoices. One's like a month end, one is like a year to date. Basically, we're going to do away with those two and kind of maybe adopt, one of the similar ones that are examples
We really like 35, we got all the information plus which buckets it came out of, and it seemed a little clearer and easier to understand at a glance,
So it'd
so
be,
we're not pouring
yeah,
through.
page 15 and 16 in this
They
week's
will
packet.
pretty much do away, and it will be one of the two examples there, or it might be both examples
Yeah, I like
combined together.
35.
Yeah.
Page 35, way better.
You like it better?
And that was,
That's kind
I
of the
think the
one-
discussion that
That was the
day was
discussion that
35
they
was,
liked.
Not a
Yeah.
fan of 34.
but possibly add another year to,
35, 36 go together.
And then maybe I will ask, where does that come from again?
Right.
As much, yeah.
Yeah, it's all by the different funds. You see the previous year balance. I like the monthly and year-to-date totals each time, so we're kind of seeing how that
Yep.
stacks up.
And I don't know if you need to have approval or not, just to let me know if that's the direction you want to see the new reports go. I think we're okay with that. You know, if that's the majority.
I wouldn't mind just quickly taking a vote amongst the board, and it comes down to three options: either stay with what we have in 15-16, look at what's on page 34 as option 2, and option 3 would be the 35-36.
Okay.
So far, I've only heard in favor of option 3, so we'll just take a vote on that one, and if
Okay,
everybody's
but
good,
hold
we're
on
good.
One sec though, before we go there.
Yeah.
So, all right, so on page 35, do you have 35?
No, I don't, but I know which one you're talking about.
Okay, so when it says bills, will that match the invoices?
That should match the invoices.
Okay,
Yes, it won't
Yeah.
match, it'll just be the invoices, because I believe on there it's broke out for what payroll and benefits are. So,
yeah, you're right.
yep, that will show the actual total expenditures for the entire month.
So
In each one.
invoices, yeah,
Yep.
invoices will show the bills that's on that.
Mm-hmm.
So page 35, a third of the way down, there's,
Yep.
it says bills, so that'll match.
Yep.
So,
And I think that kind of leads into the second recommendation that I'm asking of the board, and this might be more of an action of the board. In talking to several school districts, a lot of them, their board will do a rotating once a month where a board member will come in the Friday before the meeting and sit down with the business manager and literally go through the entire list of invoices that are to be approved for the month. I would really like to see that. And not just have the same board member every month and not just have two or three, but have, like, you only have to do it like once every 7 months or 6 months.
It's
Just to come in, because then that way, if, like last month, there was a question about PBIS from the University of Oregon. Jeff, you could go, oh yeah, I talked to Karen about that, that's what that's about. So someone else besides me would also be knowledgeable as far as what those invoices are.
well, and one other thing that this does when someone meets with Karen is it also sets a board member with responsibility to approve that invoice as well. Do you see what I'm saying? It takes some of the responsibility off of Karen and it puts a little bit more on us. So if we look at that, you say PBIS, is that what you said for it? So the PBIS question we had last month, then say Tony looked at that invoice, then it takes that responsibility off Karen completely and it puts a little bit more on us.
And we're
And at the end-
responsible for the financial part, so we
At the end
should
of the
be
day,
more
the board
knowledgeable.
has to approve all the invoices anyway. I mean, I just can't, but this way at least it gives you guys an idea of kind of how things are set up in the business office, and here's the invoices, and, oh, these are monthly ones, okay, that's fine, okay, what about this one here that, we had, so.
But it protects Karen, is what I'm trying to say. It protects Karen. It gets somebody else's responsibility.
I think it
A
helps
second set of
educate us
eyes
too.
and, one of the things that I would advise, if we go down that path, what I'd like to see us do, if I'm in that Friday before and I meet with Karen and I go through the list of invoices, and I had questions about a couple of them, and I see what they are, and now I fully understand them. Those are still the kind of things that come back to the board, or things that maybe you want to make the public aware of. Just, hey, I met with Karen on Friday, all the invoices made sense to me, I'll be the one to make the motion to move forward. But I do want to point out this one on page 4, we talked about it, she explained what it was, I didn't know, but now I do, and so everybody knows this is what it was about.
And I do want to, sorry to interrupt you, President, but I do want to reiterate that at the end of the day, it's basically Joe and my responsibility to make sure that those invoices are taken care of. The law doesn't care about what you guys say, you approve it, so be it. But at the end of the day, it is Joe and my responsibility to take care and ensure that those invoices are correct. I mean, that liability doesn't lie on the board to make sure they can question, but basically, it's my license at the end of the
Right.
day.
Understand it doesn't affect our
yeah.
business licenses.
Yeah,
and-
I mean, it has nothing to do with, if someone has a BA or an MBA or something like that, they're not gonna be affected by it during the board. It's your job.
I think it just helps me learn too, so that I ask less dumb questions maybe.
Right.
So you just have to tell me which way you want things to go. Obviously, page 35 is the winner for the new reports,
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
we'll go that route, but,
Is everyone okay being put on a rotation once every 7 months to go in?
So then we would have to like commit to actually doing it. Yeah.
and we don't even have to do it Friday afternoon, because I know Fridays are busy and football and everything else is coming up and other sports and that. I mean, it can be Monday morning too, or something like that, or if you wanna come in an hour before the board meeting, or, at 4 o'clock or something like that, at some central office, and sit down and go through them. It's whatever works for you, but I just think it would give you guys an opportunity to see that, here's kind of part of the procedures as far as this.
Yeah.
I think is everybody okay with that rotation
Maybe we'll
schedule?
just make a calendar and everyone kind of knows to get in contact with Karen for that Friday to Monday, whatever.
I think we're good with 35, 36 and the rotation. Do we require a vote to formalize that?
Can.
A motion?
I'll move to approve page 35, 36, and a rotation on invoices.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Sarah, seconded by Cherie, to go to page 35, 36 type format presenting that Karen will use going forward, and that we as a board will start a rotation to meet with her in advance of every meeting to review those invoices. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Karen.
Okay, next is discuss approve the administrative early retirement plan. This begins on page 37.
Have we always had an early retirement plan?
No. It
Is that
happens
new?
periodically. Your last one for the administrative group would have been for Mr. Francis.
But is it a standard thing we have as an option, or is it?
This was written by Allers Law Firm
Okay.
at Tony's request.
We work with all
Oh,
ours to
so it's all
define
new.
this. Yes,
Okay,
it's all
gotcha.
new. We've done it before individually, but we haven't defined a policy. And once we set this policy, any future administrator who met the criteria of the policy could apply for that.
It's up to you. I mean,
Yeah,
it can be a one shot, it can be, it's written as a 1 year, right? I mean, so when you look at the language here on page 37, it's saying for the offer
For
the
a single
24,
year.
25 school year. So it's written as a 1 year, but it's at your discretion.
I didn't ask that specifically with Catherine, and it was intended to be more of a policy, but there might be things in there that year to year change. So maybe you set it as an annual policy, just like the rest of the handbooks and other things that we review for next year's version. We come in, and if there's anything that legally changed that impacted us on that, we could change the policy.
Okay.
But this one is written for 24, 25. And has been reviewed with Taylor's law firm, and is the recommendation of Catherine that this is the version that we would work with, and then has an application form at the back end of it, and then the release, and agreement to not seek reemployment. And then the last one is the
Reemployment with us, right?
yes. To apply to having more than 18 years of service Notifying the board by this plan not later than September 1st of the school year, at the end of which the administrator intends to retire. So some of the language, like I said, it was written to be kind of a any given year policy. This one is the 24-25 version. So any questions, comments, language concerns on the administrator voluntary early retirement plan?
So it kind of reads like if a potential person would fill out the application and then each one would be reviewed and determine whether or not we accept it.
It would be an application that would then come before a board vote. Questions? We have a motion on the policy.
We could choose to, like, there's multiple different documents here. We could choose to do part of it or all of it or none of it, or like, if somebody wanted retirement, but then, we wanted them to run an RLC or run another part of that, or wanted to partially retire, we could choose not to use one section or to, like, is that the way legally that would work?
We could choose to do a modified contract at any time like that, yeah. The associated documents are kind of a process to follow. First is the request, then the release, agreement that follows that. So it's all part of one 7-page package for our plan. And then if a person chose to execute it, they would submit page 4 to us. And page 5. They pick 4, 5, and 6 would be signed by them and submitted to us, and we would complete 7 after a board vote and return it back to them.
Is this pretty standard in districts?
It is. Catherine worked with several attorneys on that front to get to some standard terms and make sure that we're meeting the
Legal minimum?
more than that. That it's representative of how we would treat someone with a couple decades of service and how that retirement would look like, that we are ensuring that insurance coverage and those types of things are met.
It's a big thing, they're very expensive. That's all my questions.
Any others? Do we have a motion about the plan?
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Sarah, seconded by Cherie, to approve the administrator voluntary early retirement plan. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried unanimously. You're all of us. Okay. Next item. Resignations. I didn't ask, are we allowed to?
Yes.
Okay. We have a resignation from Janice Morissette, associate, and she did provide a resignation letter that we could share publicly. Yeah, thank you. Dear Mr. Kramer, please accept this formal notice of my resignation from the position of paraprofessional at Pocahontas Area Elementary School, effective 2 weeks from today, making my last day of employment July 16th. After careful consideration, I've made the decision to resign. Working for Pocahontas Area Elementary has been a wonderful experience that has afforded me many valuable opportunities to learn and grow. I am very grateful to have been part of this organization. I wish you at Pocahontas Area Elementary School continued growth and success in the future. Sincerely, Janice Morissette.
Move to approve with appreciation.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Chris, seconded by Sarah, to approve the resignation with appreciation for her service. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Next, in contracts, first we have, Lincoln Borba, Athletic Director, Dean of Students. That was pending final release, is that still?
He's been officially released. I got word today.
Okay. And the other one, which we just received notice of today, Melissa Gardeline, part-time associate. We have a motion on new contracts.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Sarah, seconded by Dustin, to approve new contracts for Lincoln Borba Athletic Director and Melissa Gardeline, part-time associate. All in favor, please say aye. Motion carries unanimous. Congratulations and welcome to PAC.
Yes.
Next item is the superintendent's update.
First item is strategic planning dates. We need to reschedule that meeting that was scheduled for last week. So, are there windows that you'd like me to look at based on your schedules?
This is one we'd really like to have all 7 at, if at all possible. And ideally, still have this done before the end of July. So
Have July 31st.
that's your ideal date?
One gone the 22nd to the 30th. In Belize.
That'd be hard for you to attend.
I'm gone the last part of the week of July, and I don't know if I work. You're just gonna have to throw dates out.
Yeah.
It's a long process.
Yeah, and I know you're told to dispense.
I mean, I can do tomorrow night. No, nobody else wants to too soon?
I'm
24-hour.
I got tomorrow night, Wednesday
We
night.
wouldn't have to. I mean, you could do it as quick as that. It's just be tight for us to get pushed out.
Yeah.
right. I'm on the road
Or the
tomorrow through
31st.
Thursday.
Yeah, I'm gone
So,
tomorrow.
Friday,
Rest this week.
next week was out for you. What did you have that last week, Dustin?
Working on vacation.
That whole week?
There's otherwise,
Ideally, by the end of July doesn't mean.
Yeah.
Right.
So you're.
Backing off, how about the week of August 5th? Anybody traveling?
It's the end of July, 1st of August.
I'm available the 7th and 8th.
Mine's
We're on the
week
6th.
before, like the 22nd.
So Dustin's,
Yeah, that'd take all three of them.
Tony.
6, 7, 8.
Dustin's vacation is the same as theirs.
22nd to what?
28th.
Okay, so 29th, 30th, 31st. Let's go back and talk about Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of that week.
I'm open all 3.
Only the 31st works for me.
Only the 31st works for you. Okay, so 31st,
It is a Wednesday though.
it's a Wednesday night.
Otherwise Friday would work for me. But
31st
Friday nights get hard for other people.
Yeah.
What did you say about Wednesday?
Your best chance would be a Wednesday night.
The 31st would work for you.
31st. How about the administrative team? Does the 31st work for you guys?
Yes.
I don't see it smoke a lot of here, so.
All right, so we'll rebook that for the night of 31st. Ask everybody to try to protect your calendar for that date. Obviously, if things come up, we'll deal with it.
Is there time that works best? 6:30, 6, 7?
We were gonna do 5:30.
5:30, wasn't it?
I think it
Last one
was.
scheduled
And I'd like to
for.
stick with those for working sessions if that worked for everybody.
What time did you say?
5:30
5:30.
on the 31st.
Got it.
Okay.
I'll push out a reminder and double check with everybody. Okay.
Okay, other things for,
What's here, where the hell are you? Okay.
Still work.
other things for your update, Joe?
If you take a look at page 45, either you can give me some guidance on this, or I can
Didn't we have,
submit some information. It's just a different group. So we've done this once for ISB. So there is some overlap here, but it's not 100% overlap. I already went through that. So in this one, if you take a look at item number 6, this is state supplemental aid, adequate resources from the state as a priority. This is one that you marked.
Yeah.
Basically for ISB, number 6. So I have it tentatively marked as a high priority
Yep.
for you. Educator shortage, quality of instructors is something that you had marked in ISB, so I have that marked as a high priority for you.
there was 4. I think 9, the high, student and staff mental health was another one.
And that one, I believe, is,
That's 9.
that's number 9. Yep.
There was
And the
one,
last one was school safety, and I have it penciled in as an other possibly for 16. Now, that leaves a few other areas. Are there some other areas that are either, are they low, are they middle type priorities?
Okay, so just making sure the 4 that we had picked before, 3 out of the 4 kind of carry over. The 4th one we could write in as an other in 16 under school safety. No, that definitely represents the work that we went through on that before. So what your follow-up question to that was looking at items 7 and
Well,
past that.
In their list for rural school advocates, you've got correlation to their number 6 and 7 and 9.
Yeah.
So number 8, the question is that a high, middle, or low priority in terms of RSAI's advocacy? Number 8 would be your educational savings accounts, voucher programs.
I feel like that tends to be very like personal to the families.
But they're asking if they want us to, if we want them to advocate against
Against it,
savings accounts and against.
Oh, against it.
yeah. Yeah, it's.
It diverts monies from public schools, which is the angle that they're presenting
okay.
this,
It's like,
just for clarification.
okay.
I'm fairly middle of the road about them advocating against it. I don't consider that a high priority, but I also want to protect the public school funds. I would call that a 4. I don't know how you guys.
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Quality preschool, that's a hot topic for us.
I think that would end up being high. We voted high.
It's been recognized on the federal scale almost.
For what, for preschool?
Yeah, preschool's is awfully good. I'm not saying it's in the right building, but it's awfully good.
The key here is the amount of funding. So right now you get 50% of the per pupil for your preschool students. There's nothing for 3-year-olds. So this, I'm assuming, would be more in terms of increasing
Advocating
that 50% so that there were more funds to work with in serving that population of students or possible expansion of that age group that receives funding. Because right now, remember, your 3-year-olds, you're charging a tuition for in terms of being able to do that. And at one time, it was 100% funded, and then it got dropped to 50% funded, which is why across the state, most of those programs are only half-day programs because there's not funding for more than that.
Still cheaper than daycare.
Anybody want to throw a number at it? 1 through 7?
6.
I'm 6 also.
If you make 6, that's.
I'm lower, like 3 or 4. I think daycare is far more expensive and they're not educating your children. And that if our education system has to have money pulled somewhere because there's only enough money, then I'm cautious about using it in 3-year-olds. And I'd like to use it on kids who are left behind, or older children who are getting to be more, I mean, if I had an unlimited amount of money, then it would be a different answer, but we don't.
Where are we at, Shirley? 1 to 7.
1.
1. Dustin?
4.
Chris, you got to give Mike?
5.
4. We end up weighted to right around a 5.
Okay.
4.5. We were the average, but actually about.
Sharing
We marked 4 or
incentives.
5 then. 'cause-
4.
Okay.
We have one more.
Put in 4.5, put a circle around it. We'll see if it gets.
See if they catch. Tell them we did the actual math.
Just let you know.
So number 11 then?
Yeah.
Back on that. Anybody want to go first? What would they think about sharing incentives and efficiencies?
This is your operational sharing dollars that they're
Like
referring to, so
Between school
between school districts. It can also, in the past, it's been able to be between a school district and like a city or county sharing of positions.
Am I wrong to say that small schools benefit a lot more from this than big schools? Use it a lot more often, probably.
I would say probably yes.
Well, the sharing program always, I mean. you
What
get
this
money
does
for
is it
this.
generates additional
You
student
get money
weighting.
for it, so it's a
It helps us.
win-win.
Right, the stuff we're doing for rents helps both of us. The more we expand that, the more that it helps our bottom line.
So on the survey, can we only say high for so many, or can we say high for all of them?
I don't believe there's a limit
Okay,
because you have more than just 7 items on here,
so
so
I
it's
say
not like.
7.
I do too.
7, 4,
I would concur with that.
I said 7.
Okay.
All the high priority. All right.
12.
12, local school board authority generally, oppose unfunded mandates and
7.
explicit state directives.
So 7.
Unfunded mandates, absolutely.
The government's
Stop
gonna,
doing that.
yes, government's gonna mandate things and we get to make the best decision for our community and our school and our area without federal oversight, right? That's,
So we oppose unfunded mandates. We're saying
Means
if
if they
you're not
mandate
gonna
something,
pay
they
for
should
it,
pay for it.
you're not gonna pay for it, you don't have to, yep, I got it. 7.
gives us authority to make the best decision for our community.
I'm 6 that personally, I, since we already picked those other 4 that we set as our highest priorities, I'm like, I don't want to put everything else 7, we kind of did what we did. I'm just saying that where I'm at, I'm putting this one as a 6 for myself for that
Okay.
reason.
So we're overruling it, it's still 7.
Absolutely, I'm no problem with that.
13, I could care, I mean, the formula sucks, the
Hang
formula's.
on, we got 2 7s and a 6. Anybody else wants? I'll say 7. 7s are winning, 7s it is. Okay, formula equity.
The formula sucks, it's gonna suck, it's sucked for a long time. I guess it's just what
So
it is.
formula equity is going to be in reference to your at-risk dollars. So across the state, you have some school districts that receive more dollars per student for their at-risk programming. We receive less. It was originally set up by the state based on how much you were spending in that given year when they put in the funding, and they've never touched it since. Even though demographics have changed for lots and lots of school districts over that period of time.
But could, if we vote, can it go against us if they change the formula to?
Well, right now,
Make
you
it
are
worse?
receiving less than other school districts for your at-risk
So it
student
shouldn't- It
population.
shouldn't be able to go worse for PAC if we say.
Correct.
it's
And
not.
transportation would be the other one where there is inequities in terms of what's being done. Rural districts like us, it costs us more money to get the kids here because we average
Our
2 students per square, less than 2 students per square mile.
Spread out
For
for.
transportation, that's a big part.
We're
of our
efficient,
budget.
but it's
Yeah,
still
it's
more.
efficient, but we get, I remember
So we're
when
gonna say
I
this is an
first got
area
on
of
this
high
board,
priority for us.
7,
we got hurt because we were too efficient.
believe that.
Time, Emmitsburg was getting more money than we was, and we were about half our size at the time. So we was essentially getting
7, 5,
less
3.
money than Emmitsburg. Our district is bigger, but we can move
More
efficient.
efficient. I was hoping we should go down to that. What are you guys rated at?
It's all.
Put a zero on there.
Okay. So we have 7.5, we have 3 5s, a 7, a 3, and a 0.
Oh, just a minute, you're talking about.
We're talking about number 13, that
We want
equity.
Oh, we want equity, yes, we want equity, we get all the money we can get from the
Yes.
state.
Okay, so you're 7 now.
Yes.
Okay, another 7.
So
So
I keep going time if we can.
Yeah,
so-
6. 6 is the average there, Joe.
Okay,
All right, number 14. There's a lot more of these than I thought.
this is bonding capacity right now, takes a supermajority, so number 14 talks about making it a simple majority, so it's a lower threshold to get over in terms of being able to get a bond referendum for facility updates to be approved.
And it's of the public vote. When it comes to
Yeah.
election votes,
It's
it's
been
majority. Yep.
60%, correct?
But, so you can, so you
Right
can
now
have,
it is.
yeah, so
Yeah,
you
right
60
now.
plus 1.
so you can have 50 plus 1, right?
It lowers the threshold for support.
It's my tax dollars, I would like the higher threshold.
So is this a priority for us, high, low, medium? Low. Kind of a 2, 3, what I'm hearing average here?
Yeah, it's
2 it is. All right. AEA services and support, losing that has hurt us, hurt smaller school districts. I'm like a 6 there.
We haven't seen the fallout, it's hard to vote on it.
Yeah, it is yet. We don't know yet.
I mean, they made some legal changes, but we haven't seen how it's really going to affect us yet.
Yeah.
We can make some guesses,
new.
but.
We know they're pulling back in an area that we've heavily relied on. That's the only reason I'm saying that.
But we also don't have to pay for it. Now we pay for it, the parts we use, we don't pay for the whole. So I don't know, it's like, it's unknown in my head yet.
Fair, that's fair. I mean, for PAC, where do you see AEA services and support as far as legislative activity? You know, where'd you guys rate this?
I feel like that's an administration question. I defer to how important it is to the administration.
I don't argue that either. You guys
Feedback we've initially got, we've got to schedule another meeting with the AEAs. They're giving us pricing for some of the services that we use. The initial look that we had on our first meeting would suggest there are a number of things that we're going to pay a fairly high premium in order to access those services moving forward.
So would it be more than what we're paying now, do you think?
It's possible, yes.
What kinds of services?
Print services, when we're working on our ESSA designation for Every Child Succeeds Act, bringing those individuals in to help with those federal reports and mandates. What was the dollar figure they threw out? It was high per day. $900 a day per person working with you. I mean,
That's surgeon money right there.
So I'm hearing this is a high priority.
Do you think it's a
6,
high priority?
7,
Tracy, do you think it's a high priority? Yeah,
I think it's a disadvantage for the smaller schools that they've taken us away. No, we needed the districts to pool their money to get services. And now it's gonna cost us.
maybe you have something?
Yeah, I would agree with that. But it is hard to know because we haven't seen it in action yet. So
Yeah.
that part is true.
Kind of a black hole.
We will lose PD opportunities.
number you guys want to put there? We're referring to the administration to define.
whatever you want to recommend. For putting it on. Okay, I'm hearing 5.
And then safety in 16?
Yep.
Perfect. Are we done? We're done.
Those are the priority pieces. Thank you.
Okay, have any of the committees met since the last meeting? No.
No.
Or no, negotiation, no. So we're gonna move past committee updates. Discuss board calendar, board training. And Joe's been publishing that for us in our superintendent update weekly. The next thing that will be on the board calendar is July 31st at 5:30 PM. Potential for a special meeting with Pomeroy. We'll wait to hear back from them on that.
August 15th, I think, or 12th, isn't that in September? Or the-
Oh, the board training date, yep, so coming up.
Those are on the calendar.
Those are on the calendar as well, yes. The board training numbers Joe's been publishing to us. Anybody who wanted to watch the video from today, Sarah can get you the link for that. Our discussion on that, the training.
Watching it's only 3 or 4 minutes.
Yeah, if you guys want to stay and
It says,
watch it.
what,
I
less
can
than
stay
3
after
minutes
watch
and
it.
43 seconds if you want to stay and watch it. Yep, okay.
Just stay and watch it.
Yep.
Get an hour.
Okay, yep.
At least I'm gonna do it anyway.
I'm gonna do it.
At class.
And my name on it. And Joe, we've been working on this for a while. I don't want to like increase the priority on this. We talked about trying to build out a calendar that the process for building the board agenda was going back and looking at previous year's agendas and what's in those, just developing.
I'll
the
go back
overall
calendar.
Anything else on board calendar, training, upcoming items? All right, so next would be board takeaways from this week's meeting, this month's meeting. Anybody want to go first?
What's the August 15th meeting from?
I'm having a blank board.
It's board training, board self-assessment training is on that one.
And that, how long is that?
2 hours. Then you'll have a test that you give you a link to, and then we'll come back and do our findings.
And that gives us 2 hours, 2 credits.
Both times, so 2 hours in August and 2 hours in September.
Oh, June and September and date.
September 12th.
Okay, so that's where we got the 2 hours. Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
not sure I have them memorized.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we'll get one every month for these little short.
Anything else?
Board takeaways, the only
Board
thing I got is
takeaways, yeah.
I'm thankful we got an activities director.
Mhm.
Good young person.
Yeah,
Looks like a good deal.
I'm looking forward to that.
Is that gonna be good one for you?
That was my take.
That's that.
I'm just wondering, is that gonna be
Excited by the
good
new
for you?
AD?
We moved the meeting up. I just wanted to make sure you was gonna get to Marshalltown on time. At least that's where you're headed, right?
Mike, any takeaways from tonight's meeting?
Like I said, we moved it up to accommodate, but that's fine. That's what we try to do, accommodate what we can for the administration.
Jeff?
No, I got your lights off. I don't know what.
Sheree, anything you want to add?
No, I really like the AD idea. That's great. And I like the new financial report too. Karen read it.
I'm excited to see all the things the teachers are doing with the 5 different eggs. and-
CTS.
Yes,
Yeah.
it sounds like there's a lot of work and energy going into that.
Yeah, I like that too.
I don't have anything else to add to that. I also very excited by Mr. Gorba's addition to our team. The new buses, I think that Jeff has done a great job at identifying a great cost savings there. That looks like a fantastic price for those and moves us forward on that. Appreciate that very much. Those would be my main takeaways from today. Just echoing off what everybody else said, the CTE programs and the expansion of that, going to be an exciting piece of where we go as we move forward with that vision and how we become that destination school for staff and students. That's exciting stuff that group's providing us. Thank you. All right, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
I'll second. We have a motion by Sheree, seconded by Jeff to adjourn the meeting. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned.
If you have not gone in and recorded your 2 hours for that last course we had on, what was it?
I haven't.
Yep, the last one that we did, that was 2 hours. That's